Allison Farmer Informative Speech. Being a nanny for the past 4 summers, I have seen it all when it comes to children. While I love the children that I am responsible for, it was a daily struggle to take care of the 8-year-old boy Hunter who was diagnosed with ADHD. The United States Library of Medicine in 2014 claimed that ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in 2014 explained that children with ADHD struggle with paying attention, controlling impulses, being overly active, or a combination of these. The National Institute for Mental Health in 2014 explained that ADHD is one of the most common disorders in children, but this disorder can continue through adolescence and adulthood. I am sure all of you have seen hyper children whose parents just cannot seem to get them under control. Most of the time, the child is wired up off sugar, and their parents are starting to regret letting them have candy. For a child who is hyperactive impulsive, this hyperactivity lasts for years without rest, and sugar has nothing to do with it. According to Dr. Drew Edwards, a psychologist and professor here at Wake Forest, to be hyperactive is to be overly active. The National Library of Medicine in 2014 explained that hyperactive symptoms include constantly moving, running around, fidgeting, and squirming in their seat. The child with hyperactive symptoms also has difficulty staying quiet and is always talking even when they have nothing important to say. When you combine this with struggling to pay attention, school can be a nightmare for children with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Dr. Edwards in 2014 explained that inattention is something common among many students, but for a child with ADHD, it can be impossible to focus on anything they do not find interesting. The National Library of Medicine in 2014 explained that inattentive symptoms include being easily distracted, which makes it hard for the child to pay attention in class, and they also easily forget things. If the child does not find the activity interesting, they're likely to switch from activity to activity. Dr. Edwards explained that if a child is bored with the activity, they will most likely leave the activity. An example of this is video games versus cleaning your room. Most children, or many children, like video games, and if a child has ADHD and they're playing video games and they enjoy it, then they may be completely content playing it for hours without stopping. But if the mom tells the child to clean up their room, they find this activity to be boring usually and will become distracted and start to do something else or just not do the activity. The child also may have difficulty following instructions, processing information, and completing a task. A child may be able to hide from others the fact that they are inattentive, but if a child also struggles with impulsivity, then that is when they tend to have trouble with relationships with others. The United States National Library of Medicine states that a child who deals with impulsivity struggles to control how they act. A child who deals with impulsivity might be impatient and interruptive in class as well as with others. Dr. Edwards explained that many children who have impulsivity problems tend to make many inappropriate comments. The child may have no restraint on their emotions, and they might not think about the consequences of their actions. This may make it difficult for a child with ADHD to make friends. As I have made apparent, there are many symptoms associated with ADHD, but having ADHD does not entail that all these symptoms will be present. One of the main issues a child with ADHD struggles with is doing their homework and classwork. Because a child has issues with inattentiveness, as well as problems with memorization and other and missing details, it can make it very difficult for the child to do their homework and hard for them to be successful in school. Nemers explained in 2014 that a child with ADHD may be predominantly inattentive, predominantly hyperactive impulsive, or a combination of the two. When I was a nanny, I became easily frustrated with Hunter, and I felt that I was fighting a constant, never-ending battle. I am so glad I did not give up on my job, though, and I am so proud to see his progress the progress he has made through medication and therapy. ADHD is not something I would wish for anyone. The organization Children and Adults with Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder in 2014 explained that ADHD affects almost every part of a child's life, such as school, social situations, and home life. There are many ways the symptoms of ADHD can be suppressed, and in times the symptoms will lessen. There's no cure for ADHD, but there are ways to manage it.